to another episode of Game Pass Grabback, your weekly podcast reviewing games on the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives during skill range. I'm the hardcore gamer of this episode, Andrew. With me, our moderate gamer who can't figure it out, Keith.
Hello.
And our returning Call of Duty expert, my brother, Aaron.
Yellow.
And I gotta ask everyone, Aaron says this intro is way too loud. Is this intro too loud for people?
You actually faded it out there. This is professional. After, I don't know, how many years have you been doing this podcast?
Just about 5.
Yeah, just about 5
Over 5
years.
at that, actually.
And no one has heard Andrew's intro in 5 years because the music was so loud.
Well, no one complains about it, so it clearly can't be that bad.
Well, I think that was like always kind of the running joke. It's like Andrew's talking, but no one can hear him, and that's funny. So I think they all thought
That's
it was
why people keep
intentional.
tuning back in.
Mhm.
You've just killed the bit, Aaron. It's been the best hidden gem or Easter egg of this entire podcast,
My
and
bad.
you just killed it. Way to go.
Well, we decided to gather here today and talk about the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta. We've only done one other beta, which was Back 4 Blood. But I remember we talked a little bit about Call of Duty when we did our Call of Duty episode a couple weeks ago. And, I saw this beta and I remember being like, meh, whatever. But then I started to play this and I went, this is a strange feeling. I think I'm actually having fun with this. So I thought it'd be kind of fun if we gather together and, discuss a little bit. What are your guys' thoughts on the Call of Duty Black Ops 6 beta? But yeah, so like I said, I'll start off obviously with this is going to be a different episode. But obviously for like Gamer Pass, but I guess it should be more of excitement, or if I'm not excited, I was, like I said, surprisingly shocked at how much fun I was actually having with this beta. I remember seeing it, and the whole Omni movement is this whole new thing where you can move in all directions and dive and everything like that. And I remember talking about Call of Duty, how much I hate these gimmicky movements, but I was surprisingly having fun. I wasn't doing good. I definitely was, going negative, but I was very shocked about how much fun I was having. How'd you guys feel?
Well, I mean, I guess I was surprised how much I liked, was it Modern Warfare 3? Was that the one we played?
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah. So like I was actually cautiously optimistic. And before I started playing it, a couple of you guys had been talking about it, and you had even said some good things there, Andrew. And so I had some cautious optimism going into it. I still don't know that I love all of the aspects of the Omni movement. Just really for the reasons that you kind of prefacing it with. But outside of that,
semi movement.
Yeah, exactly. Big semi guy. But really when it comes down to it, I actually was having fun with it. And unlike you, Andrew, I was actually still doing pretty well in this one, which was helping contribute to my fun factor, I think. But a lot of more positives than negatives for me in this. So all in all, yeah, I'm looking forward to hopping into some gun game and doing that when that comes out on the new Call of Duty, because that's what I love the most.
So Aaron, he was the big
like,
Call of Duty guy.
Yeah, that's like an all-time party mode. A gun game is just...
Well,
It's one of the few
some
free for all
ones.
matches that it actually lets you do with a party, I think.
Yeah. Gun game was always just an all-timer. Like, I think that's just a great party game. I think it's probably good on this episode that we just recently did Modern Warfare 3, because I do think comparing these things is going to be really useful. I've been in the habit of the last few years of skipping Call of Duties. I might have mentioned that in the last episode. So I hadn't played Modern Warfare 3 until we did that episode. So I was obviously going to play this because it was going to be available on Game Pass. So I was already going to play it. But the question was going to be, how much will I play it? Because there's so many other options.
Yeah.
And much like you, Andrew, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I was expecting myself to not really enjoy it because I didn't care for Modern Warfare 3. So I just felt like, I think Call of Duty's passed me by. And I can't really put my finger on it either, on exactly what I really loved about it. I was doing okay. I can't say I was like dominating lobbies like maybe I did, 10 years ago. But there was still something about it that I was like, wait, this feels better. And I don't know. Now, to give a little more context to this Omni movement, only because you've mentioned it, the Omni movement isn't really like, well, you can move sideways or frontwards. Obviously, you could always do that. The idea is you can sprint in all directions.
That I did love.
So the idea of Omni movement is you're instead of just being able to sprint forward, you can now sprint in all directions. And on top of it, they added the dolphin dive, so you can dolphin dive, and you can slide. So when I hear that, that screams a recipe for disaster for me. Like,
Yeah, same.
because I'm like the way that games have gotten just hyper fast, and because Call of Duty's always had movement, but this is like no, we're gonna take all of the movement in every direction, in every way possible. We're gonna throw it in here, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a disaster. I don't know what you guys' experience. From what I saw, people that were really good at the game, the movement looked like a disaster. My lobbies weren't too bad. Like, you'd get some people that'll dolphin dive around corners, but I felt like it was easy to kind of take people out when they did that. Like, I felt like they were kind of at a disadvantage when they did that.
You know what I think it did? It's taken out the hopping. Yes, because that's something that's a good point. I didn't really put my finger on it until you were talking, and I started thinking about it. I was like, the one thing that just sets me off in any Call of Duty game more than anything Call of Duty, it's the hopping. Yeah. And I think that the dolphin dive has actually kind of replaced that aspect, and in a way that it still seems fair. Like, yes, it's annoying, but I don't know. I felt like I could keep up with it so much better.
I didn't personally do a whole lot of dolphin diving. Like, I still play Call of Duty mostly the way that I do. The being able to sprint going sideways was kind of nice, like when you needed to strafe. But again, that adds another challenge. If you're shooting at somebody, especially if you're not using a controller, when somebody's sprinting sideways back and forth, you having to track those shots does get a little bit more challenging. But again, none of that stuff really stuck out to me. There was never a point when like, oh my gosh, I am going to hate that. Like, it was never those elements that I was overly concerned about. I thought that all that stuff felt pretty decent. I was a big fan of it.
Yeah, like, because that's always the number one thing why I've always hated Call of Duty. I hate the gimmicky movements. I remember mentioning this. I hate drop shotting. I hate the bunny hopping. Stuff like that is just, it's annoying. I don't want to do it. I don't want to go against it. It's just frustrating. But in this, people were still diving in my game, but I felt like maybe 50% of the time I could kill him before he could kill me.
Yeah.
And it felt better. Like, don't get me wrong, the diving and stuff, like if someone's good at it, they're very good at it. It makes for great YouTube clips and shorts. I get it, why they have there. Streamers are going to love it. But as me, as like kind of a casual person, I didn't feel like I was just getting room full of sweats that are just diving everywhere. I can't hit them with anything, and it's frustrating. So I was surprised at how good this Omni movement felt. And even too, like as Aaron said, it's about sprinting in all directions. I never realized it actually feels good. Like, I did not think about like kind of sprint sidestepping, but it actually works well. I don't know if you guys tried. I remember there is an option where you don't have to like hit any buttons, and you can have your character auto mantle, auto crouch under things. Did you guys turn that on and try that at all?
That stuff has been around, I think, for a few Call of Duties now, where you can kind of auto mantle. From previous games where I've done stuff like that, I usually hate it because I'm usually mantling things I don't want to mantle. But that's me.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was a thing, so I didn't turn it on. But I think I would probably tend to agree with you, Aaron, that would just really annoy me, because I feel like, was it a Battlefield that might have had it? And I think I don't know, either whether I'm putting it in my head because you said it or I've actually had it happen. Like, that's everything I would see being my issue with it.
I love Keith could never get his camera straight. It's just
I really don't
talking.
Well, and it's weird because like my camera's way up here, so I'm like, do I look at the camera? Because then people can see me, and it feels like I'm talking to them, but I'm talking to you guys, and you guys are over here. I don't know.
But it's just your camera's direction just isn't aimed right.
It's got a good view of his ear, though.
There you go.
It is a very good view. Yeah.
There you go. Better.
Professional podcaster.
Again, also on mine, it like shows me more centered, but I think one of these days I'll figure. We're, in all fairness, we are less than 6 months into like real video portioning
That is true.
of this. So
That's
this
true.
part I can genuinely say I'm new to. The other, we're still in beta on the video
That's
side
true.
of things.
I know we're only 4 subscribers away from hitting 100 on our YouTube.
There you go.
Which
I
Everybody
did
listening.
you already pass that, Aaron?
subscribe.
I know you've been doing well. On
I am not.
YouTube.
I totally faded out hard. I'm at 68 subscribers right now.
You're one short from being nice.
I know. I was, and I dropped one. I cannot
You really
understand
need to upset someone.
YouTube Shorts. This is a whole nother story. I cannot understand YouTube Shorts. I am feast or famine on that thing. Like there are days like the algorithm loves me and it puts me everywhere. And there are days I put out a video today that I loved and I thought I did a good job editing and it got 0. It won't show it. Don't know why. Doesn't give you a reason. It just doesn't.
Did you
So
just
this-
get real racist in this video?
No. There was one that I kind of figured maybe because I think I mentioned somebody dying pretty early in it. And that one it kind of tanked. But this one today, I was like, I don't know why I would tank this one. Another one, it did not show at all. I did a fact about Home Alone. You know the scene with Buzz's girlfriend. Woof.
Woof.
That picture is actually the director of photography's son. They put a wig on him to do that photo because they felt like it'd be too cruel to actually have a picture of a young girl there.
Oh, I
So I
thought
did
it
a
was
fact
his,
about that. It did
I
not
thought it was
show
his
it.
daughter, so they could make it a joke either way, and he was like more comfortable being like, "Yeah, it's okay."
No, he took his son, so it's actually a boy with a wig on, which is pretty funny. But
Speaking of Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin's going on a little tour with a screening of Home Alone. I don't know. I saw it on
so it's
Facebook.
That's
An
weird.
evening with Macaulay Culkin after a screening of Home Alone.
so good. Sorry to sidetrack all this, but yeah. I wanted to add another thing, Andrew. You mentioned the customization there of kind of the mantling.
Yeah.
Did you see how this is something I'm like, ooh, more video games should take this. Like this feels like actually a genius idea on the Call of Duty's part. The HUD is crazy customizable. Like
I didn't see that.
you can remove anything you want. You can change the size of everything. You could literally take everything and put it directly in the center of your screen if you wanted to. Like,
Oh, like
the-
your in-game HUD.
yes. So
Oh.
the in-game HUD is wildly customizable to how you prefer to play your game. So if there's pieces of information you don't even want, you can have it completely removed. If you don't want to see your gun and your ammo, you can remove that. It was very customizable in what it's offering. And to me, I saw that and I was like, that's actually kind of cool and something that I was like, I feel like more video games should do that. Like you can choose to make your HUD as ugly or as streamlined as you want. It's completely up to you because all that stuff feels like it should be easy to just remove.
Yeah.
But yeah, Call of Duty allows it to basically be really customizable. Like the idea of moving your map more center, although would be ugly. I've for all the years I've played Call of Duty, I very rarely look at a map. It's the same thing with Halo and stuff.
Really?
like
Even
that.
when the UAV is up?
I'll like peek at it, but I'm always so focused on what's in front of me, like that I just don't really use maps all that often. But I feel like if that were brought closer to where my vision is at, I would notice it a little bit more. I suck with maps. I feel like every time I look at a map, I'm dead. Like
No.
somebody's gonna kill me because I wasn't looking for them anymore.
See, I think I probably am the opposite. Like I don't focus on it entirely, obviously, but I think I stare at it too much and I worry too much about like where I see people there, so I can try to anticipate them like coming around a corner. And so in a way, I think
You're
being
probably
able
doing
to-
it the right way, honestly.
well, I mean, I guess depends where you're coming from. If you look at our KDRs over the years, but I think if you, I don't know, the ability to move it center because you want to be staring more or less towards the center of your screen where you're looking down the sights of your gun, and I'm just constantly glancing down at the corner of my screen, and that can't be all that helpful. So I think it'd be kind of like you said, well, maybe not aesthetically pleasing, even just moving it slightly more center so you can like see both at the same time would be helpful.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like, have you ever seen somebody play on a controller and play claw?
Oh god, it looks so
Okay.
painful.
It's where you kind of like have your fingers kind of like this.
Everyone always
When you're
says like
playing.
that's the way you're supposed to play.
So
but
one's
God, it
on
looks
like the
awful.
stick, one's on the top or something like it's super weird. Like they'll have like all 4 buttons accessible here with the it's stupid. But I feel like it'd be a system like that. Or have you seen somebody that plays on the computer, but they have their keyboard like completely sideways?
No, have you seen people that have their keyboard like on their shoulder?
Yes. And I feel like that's what the HUD thing would be like. Like
Yeah.
there would be like, 0.1% of people that would just have this very specific way that they would want their HUD, and that's how they play. And everybody else would generally just keep it the same. Yeah, but I feel like it's the same way. Like some idiot that plays with the keyboard on his shoulder, and this is more fun and easy, and that's just how he plays.
He's a pro. Way. There's a pro who does it.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. I've been watching some Smite 2 stuff, and it was like the same thing. This guy takes his keyboard and he completely sends it vertical, and he has his mouse and his keyboard like in the center next to each other. And I'm like, how is that better? Like, I feel like it would hurt my wrist way more, but he's a pro. He's a pro Smite player.
That's another one we should do. Smite 2. You got us our keys.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true. So, but we'll get to that later, Keith.
Sorry, I got excited.
We've gone sidetracked already on this episode. Man, that's a bad sign. But sorry, Call of Duty.
So you brought up HUD, and you got me excited because, I thought you were mentioning the game like map menu, and I remember this is a thing we complained about. We hated the whole launcher screen, which you still have to go through the stupid Call of Duty launcher. But I gotta say, already off the bat, granted this is just beta, it'll probably get thrown more crap in there. I already liked the interface of the actual selecting games, doing my customization of my loadouts. It looked so much cleaner. I felt like I actually kind of knew what I was doing, as opposed to Modern Warfare 3.
Well, yeah, because at the very least, like it starts out with a very basic multiplayer, single player, zombies, and it's just 3 options. You don't have to fight through 6 menus to find individual things like that. Now, like you said, I think you still have to go through the Call of Duty hub to get to that, which that's a whole nother thing, I guess.
But that just brings you to Black Ops 6.
Exactly. So all of that said is I do agree. Now, maybe it's because it's in the beta. Maybe they just don't have it anymore. Or maybe I couldn't find it. But I couldn't find stats anywhere. It was kind of bugging me.
I don't know if they were there. I didn't actually bother checking, but it's like if it was anything like Modern Warfare 3, which it might have been, it was like a right stick.
Yeah, and it pops out a side menu.
Yes.
And that's where I was looking. And so like I said, maybe it's just the beta, or maybe I couldn't find it.
May not have had it. I did like that they had a barracks section in the game, which I assumed was where the stats were going to be, but it doesn't look like that's where the stats are going to be. So I think it'll probably do what the Modern Warfare 3 menu was doing. I mean, that was one of my complaints too. Like, it was already a mess to navigate, and then there was a whole other menu you could slide out on top of everything. Yeah, Call of Duty HQ is just not going to go away, and that's going to be a reality. But that's like a whole nother thing that you have to launch Call of Duty HQ, where in theory, it's kind of a cool concept because it's like, well, all of your Call of Duties can live here. So,
but how often do you go back to the other ones?
You don't.
You pick one Call of Duty, and that's your Call of Duty.
But then they've got Warzone, and I don't know if they still do DMZ, but you have DMZ. So it was kind of like this. It made sense when you had the free-to-play options plus whatever the paid Call of Duty option was that year. But it's still just, if I want to fire up the one thing, I should just have to click one button to open the thing.
It feels like to me, and obviously it's fine, play on PC, play on wherever, but like it just feels like it's designed for PC. Like on a console, it just doesn't really make sense because any of the modern consoles now, you just switch from one game to another. So if you want Warzone, you download Warzone. If you want Call of Duty Black Ops, you download that independently, and you just switch back and forth by opening up in your games menu. Now on a PC, you need more of a hub to do that, I guess, right? So like it just feels like they ported it over because it was easier to do it that way. And to that point, like I said, it doesn't, it's, I think it's stupid and annoying on the console, but I don't know. It feels like that's why they have it existing, and it's just easier to program it on Xbox now.
Well, things bleed over. So
exactly.
When you're leveling a gun in the multiplayer, you can take that same gun over to Warzone and boom, it's that same level. It's got all the same attachments. Or you buy a skin in this game, boom, that skin also transfers over to this game. That's why I say, in theory, it makes sense. It's just so poorly implemented that, to me, if I have no interest in playing any other Call of Duty product, I just want to play Black Ops 6. I should be able to tell it, when I click on Call of Duty, you launch Black Ops 6. If I want to go back to the HQ to go play something else, let me decide that. Don't start me there.
I feel like it did that for me though when I was playing on this,
It
on the
didn't.
beta at least, because I wasn't.
It-
I didn't feel like I was going through the hub. I would open it up and it would load up the load screen for Black Ops 3. Like I would see, I don't remember her name,
See,
Farah.
no. It would load up Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, and then but it would like load up and then immediately kick over. Now I think maybe it was because I was just exiting out. Like I was never exiting out. You know, like with the Series X, you can actually force close the app versus just quick switch over. Maybe it was because it was like holding on that cache of going back to Black Ops 6.
Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, all that to say, yeah, the Call of Duty HQ would be great if it was, hey, here's a list of the Call of Duty games up and down. And then when you get into it, single, multiplayer, zombies.
Yep.
And then inside of those, if you want to have all your bonkers menus and all of that, fine. But like, make it easy to get to the thing that you want to get to. That's the
100%.
one thing for the HQ they need to do. And they won't, because
Yeah.
they
So
want you to play Warzone.
I don't know if this is a new thing with the stats though, but what I noticed, it didn't seem like it was working, but I love the idea. Whenever a map was loading, I'm assuming it was showing you your personal stats with that map.
It was.
It wasn't consistent because there was times where I'd play a map and it gave me all zeros, but that is a awesome concept. I
It
love
was
that.
dependent on the map mode was key to it, because
That probably
if you
isn't.
so like if you had played it on hardpoint and then you're playing a team deathmatch, the next time it loaded you as zeros.
It still definitely was glitched because one of them, it said my
Probably
KDR
was.
was like 14, and it's like, no way, my KDR was 14 on this map.
Well,
It might have been.
that's another because I pointed
was
this
a
out
change.
immediately. This is one of my biggest perks, I think, about the gameplay so far, is the way that kills and everything works. There's no more assists. It's either elimination or no elimination. And it's like, you know, like an Overwatch style where it's like if you do damage within 3 seconds or whatever, and then the person dies, you get the elimination. It's so much more simple, because I remember when score streaks came in instead of kill streaks, and I think that was only maybe 1-2 iterations of Call of Duty they really tried that. I thought I was going to be excited for it. Like, okay, I'm going to finally do this, get a lot of assists and kill confirmed, whatever it might be, and I'll actually get streaks. Still just wasn't working for me. But this elimination style, it's like a perfect balance of both, where it's just giving you the elimination points, you know, for not doing a full kill. But I felt so much more rewarded. But I wasn't like, oh, everything's easy now. I still had to fight for my streaks. I just could get them now.
Yeah. Same.
So it felt like it, and I know it's psychological. It's a psychological dopamine hit where it's, my KDR didn't look like utter trash because everything that would have been an assist was now giving me basically a kill for it. And so, you know, when I'm looking at those numbers, I'm like, wow, actually I'm pretty good. And it's all just, you know, a psychological dopamine hit. And so, yeah, you might have done maybe that map in mode once, and maybe it was a shorter game or something like that. And so it gave you a 14. So it's possible, because I think everybody's KDRs will end up looking a lot better,
I guess. But either way, I love the cons of the stats, because I like, even if I don't know, I could see right there on my screen, crap, I suck at this level. This is not going to be a good time.
Yeah. Well, that's true for sure. I mean, just overall, like you said, Aaron, I think there was one game I had over 50 kills. That has never, ever once been a stat line for me in a Call of Duty game.
Was it?
I think it was a hard point. Man. So it was just a lot of just meat grinding. But yeah, it was like, did I have 50 kills? Obviously not. I might have had 25. But just seeing that number in my elims and then looking at like a KDR that I was like, oh man, I feel like I did pretty good. I mean, I think I actually did do pretty good, because they're on one of the few matches that my team actually won. I actually hit winner's circle. I was like top 3. Like I actually was performing in the tops of my lobbies for the most part, but like just those numbers, I was like, I'm way more into this. I feel like I'm good at this now.
Yeah. I love that about it. You do bring up a I mean, you kind of tapped into it. What did you guys think of the maps? Because I'm
like
probably. What about you, Keith?
There wasn't any I could think of that I hated. So overall, I liked them a lot.
I think overall, I did. I very much dislike the was it Skyline, the rooftop map?
Yeah,
that was my least favorite of them all for sure. I think I tend to like the smaller maps in general because I don't know. I've always kind of felt like, especially like if I'm just going to die frequently, I don't want to have to run for 30 seconds before I get to where I'm just going to run into one person and die. So the smaller maps have always a little bit more appealed to me. Maybe not some of the tiny ones that they have in Modern Warfare 3, but I felt like these were like mediums. Like they were still on the smaller side, but there was breathing room, except for the presumably because it's the beta, some pretty broken spawn points at points. But
yeah, I'm trying to think of how many maps, because I don't know if you did weekend 1 and weekend 2. Weekend 2 did have some more maps.
Just weekend 2.
Yeah, which is the
I think there was over 8 maps.
Yeah, some of them were face-off maps or whatever they call those modes. All right, so tapping into the Call of Duty community, because for whatever reason, again, I still follow all of that stuff. There's actually a lot of blowback from the maps, which I'm kind of with you. I don't hate the maps. I actually think they're pretty fun maps.
Yeah.
But if you've heard me talk about Call of Duty for a long time, I was never a fan of Nuketown. Like Nuketown was okay to me.
Yeah, the tiny maps.
Yep. And I was never a fan of Shipment.
What about Rust?
Or Rust. To this day, those maps are considered iconic to the point where in Call of Duty games, it's very typical they do 24/7s of those.
Yeah.
So the Call of Duty community is enraged right now because they said the maps are too small. And it's like,
too small?
You idiots have been demanding this for years. So finally Call of Duty's like, fine, we'll just make all the maps small. So
please tell me you're on the forum doing this.
No, all right, I may have blasted somebody in a YouTube comment because it did come up where they were like, oh, the maps are, and they listed out, Call of Duty listed out all the small and medium maps will be in there. There'll be 16 original maps when the game launches. So they listed,
which is also unheard of. Yeah, I feel like every Call of Duty has half original.
They remake half of them.
Yeah,
yes.
It's so annoying.
So, they're going on like they're complaining about it, but I was like, you guys are the ones that demand a shipment 24/7 on every single Call of Duty all the time because you just want to sit there and shoot a gun and not have to take more than 5 steps. Like that's what you've wanted, and they're giving it to you. They said there's no large maps. It is all medium or small size maps. I'm okay with this. Like I think this doesn't feel like complete chaos. Kind of like Keith said. Yeah, you don't really have to, if you're going to get just blasted, you're not walking too far in most cases until you're getting blasted. I don't, outside of Babylon, I think Babylon was the larger squared map. Again, I think it was in weekend 2. So if you didn't play weekend 2, you probably didn't play it. That one had broken spawns.
Yeah, I did notice that.
There was at least more ways to go. So was it just a giant square? Yeah. But there was at least some different elevation. There were different spots to get under and stuff like that. So there was at least a little bit more going on that one. But yeah, the Call of Duty community is not happy. Too many small maps. They do not like it. They want the classic traditional kind of 3-lane
which
setup.
Derelict, the train map, is kind of that.
A little bit.
It has little paths, but you can kind of see a 3-lane in it.
Yeah, they technically do claim that all maps are 3 lanes. That is their official stance on it.
I mean, Babylon, you can, in theory, you can say even. I mean, it's 3 lanes that are, well, I guess 6 because
you're starting in a corner. So you're either going to go right around the square, left around the square, or through the middle of the square.
Yeah. So like it's pretty arguable that even with just a straight up square, they kind of managed 3 lanes. It's not distinct, but it's there. Babylon was one of my favorite maps aside from the broken spawns.
Babylon was fine. The one that I actually kind of liked the most, but it was more just for the visuals of it than anything else, was Rewind. But Rewind is technically not a 3-lane map unless you move the map, unless you put the map horizontal. But that's not how it spawns you. But it's the only way that you can do that because you can't go from one end of the mall to the other end of the mall just completely through it. You have to step outside into a lane to get back into the mall to continue to the next store. So some stores connected, but not all of them. So it's technically not a 3-lane, but I actually like that map. I thought that map was fun, but
So
That one had probably some of the best sight lines and like longer range
this
fights.
is what I like about the maps. To me, I felt like the maps had enough flavor for any gun you can use. Because a lot of times when you play a game, you're like, oh, this is all indoors. This is going to be just shotguns. That's it. But I felt like every map had like vantage points to be able to do sniping, to do shotguns, do SMGs, do assault rifles. So like, Rewind's a perfect example. Like you got inside the mall, which I usually did, shotgun. You had the parking lot, which was way open, great for sniping. Even if people aren't going in that lane, you could still probably get some people that are in the shops. Another map I really liked was Scud. It had a down satellite in the middle. Like side, you could go through a building. Left side had trenches, but there was a sniper post in the middle of the satellite. It had these fun vantage points you could do, and it just had a nice flavor to like. I didn't feel like, oh, I had to use an SMG this map. I had to use this. It let you switch things up.
Yeah, and it's like you were saying, even like some of the maps that traditionally you wouldn't see some of this. Maybe I say traditionally. It was as we talked about, many years between my Call of Duty playing, but was it Derelict, where it's like trains? You would think
broken down trains,
like a very like close range, because there's a lot of fights happening between those. But they distinctly had one building that had a little eagle's nest in it, and people would sit up there with a sniper, and you could see pretty much everywhere around the map. So like they set up these points that Rewind was another one out on that street. The building across from the mall had a little eagle's nest you could sit up in, and you would get people up there sniping. So like they really kind of set up everything for it. I actually ran with a heavy machine gun, which
me too.
Traditionally, I think because it felt a lot like an assault rifle in terms of its gunplay, but like it just it didn't feel overly clunky to be running around with that. Or I had plenty of people who were maybe this is partly my own problem, but were fairly close range sniping too. And I think that that's something that's been around for a while. The kind of quick no scopes or whatever. But it was, I don't know. I felt like you never knew what you were going to run into for guns. You didn't just expect to just get blasted with a shotgun every time you came around a corner.
I mean, that first weekend, and this is a classic Call of Duty thing, it was all jackals. All anybody ran was jackals.
Yep.
Like
I did this joke. I saw this as a meme. It's like my experience in Call of Duty.
It looks like a jackal. Jackal.
And it's
Heck yeah.
Boo.
It's just Family Guy. So
was it the jackal? Jackal.
Yeah.
Jackal.
Yeah.
Oh, here
jackal. It's a jackal. It looks like a jackal. Jackal. It's a jackal. Jackal. Time. It wasn't right the first time you said it. Why the hell would it be right the next 10 times?
It said this is the kill feed of every Call of Duty match. Jackal.
But I'm glad with the second weekend though they nerfed it. They already said jackals started getting nerfed.
Yeah, and here's what I don't get. But I mean, I'm just an old person at this point. To me, it's a beta, so just try everything. Like
I know,
I don't understand people that like get into a beta and it's like I'm going to play at the maximum level possible. And it's like, why? It doesn't.
Not only that, the hackers. There was crazy amount of hackers. It's like, why? It's a beta. You're going to get your account banned. You're paying for a hack before the game even comes out, and you're going to get banned. It's like, why do this? But there was tons of hackers.
I could see somebody, although in that case, I could see somebody like just seeing if it works, because like the game comes out in a few weeks, so
but
maybe
you're risking your account.
I mean, well, yes, but none of those guys care. I mean,
I'm sure they just set up new accounts, right?
I don't know. With the HUD, with this whole Call of Duty HQ, like you're looking at account ban. It's not even like, hey, you're banned from Black Ops 6. They ban your account. Don't they do the same thing? Do you remember this with Overwatch? Where when you got banned in Overwatch, they were doing something like really freaky. Like you could pull out your hard drive in your computer, replace it, download the game, create a new account, and it would still ban you. And no one could quite figure out. They were trying to IP.
Well, they were trying to do VPNs, and they still. So nobody could figure out like how Overwatch could figure it out, but they couldn't get around it. And obviously Blizzard and Activision are the same thing. So I'm wondering if Call of Duty, I know Call of Duty, they created their anti-cheats called Ricochet. And did you see what Ricochet would do? Like some of the stuff they were doing?
Yeah, I love it.
You can't kill anybody.
I love
or
a good
if you
anti-cheat.
shoot somebody, it kills you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
just
pretty
kinda-
awesome.
You call it Ricochet. So that's what they were doing to cheaters, is they were like basically just making the game unplayable for them, and that's how they were handling them.
I love when an anti-cheat does something creative, because it's always so funny seeing the videos on like YouTube and people are like, what's going on? I don't get it. And then like people are like, dude, you're hacking. Like this is what they do. And then of course they try to defend themselves like, no, I'm not hacking. And it's like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
You hack.
Well, you know, it's interesting you say that, because like I'm curious if that's part of it. Is, you know, this is a beta. They
might be
own their
testing things
own.
out.
Is this like white hat hackers? Is that the right term? Right? Like
Yeah.
they're from their own teams. Like, all right, let's see what we can break in here and, you know, do that. So like,
I could see
I
it.
wouldn't be surprised, especially in a beta, because like, why would they wouldn't want to hurt their actual product and do
Yeah.
that. And I bet they probably even still do it in live game. They just probably don't abuse it. They're just like, all right, let's hop into a lobby, see if we can do this and that, and you know, whatever.
It'd be a smart play, right? Like you've got a beta, so you're not going to really hurt anything, but let the hackers in, see what they're using, see how it functions, and then you make sure when the game launches, you've already got that stuff taken care of to where it's going to detect it a lot faster. I know that every single one of these companies struggles with hackers because they evolve.
Yeah.
So every time they kind of squash it out, they just find a new way to go and find ways to hack. So it probably just makes sense before you've got a full launch, let them show up, look at what it is, and then go ahead and take them from there. But yeah, and I'm sure they're banning them too when they see them, because obviously you don't want those guys coming over to the launch.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, this is exactly what a beta is for. So that's why for me, like there was a handful of times I was getting killed by a hacker, and I was just like, whatever. I won't be seeing you at launch, so you know, have your fun now. I don't care. And not only that, okay, so you were unlocking some stuff. You can only level up your account to level 20, but does that? I don't think that carries over. I think you just got your few trinkets, and still launch day you're going to reset to 1, which is, you know, every beta does that, which is always funny because I always love seeing the community when they're like, oh, I can't carry my level over. It's like, no, it's a beta. Like that's what a beta is for.
I thought Call of Duty did that now, because like your previous experience allowed you to have like from other games or whatever.
So what's nice about this Call of Duty, if you're an old school Call of Duty fan like myself, they are finally bringing back traditional prestige.
Ooh.
So there's really no carryover level anymore. You are going to start back at 0. And this I think was also kind of cool. Each prestige rank will be modeled after a previous Call of Duty. So like the first prestige I think is based off of Call of Duty World at War.
Oh, that's cool.
Each rank that you get is actually from that game. Like they basically remodeled them. So things like that. And this is where I think the game, this is where it's going to hook me or not. I like to grind for unnecessary reasons. So I like, and I don't mean that in a physical way, but I mean that in a video game.
Thank you for clarifying.
I
really appreciate
I
that.
kind of,
because
I saw Andrew's face. Andrew's face kind of like his mouth went
Grimaced a little.
sideways. So I'm like, oh, he's thinking it. He's going to say something right now. So I'm going to call it out now.
He's gonna put a fart sound in there.
I know. I'm going to call it out now.
You want to put a fight sound? I can do that.
No,
I can
please
still
do not. I'm a stats junkie. I'm always going to be a stats junkie when it comes to Call of Duty. And then I'm going to want to just grind rank, grind gun levels, because that's just what I do. And I find fun in it. I was doing that crap with Battlefield 2042, where I was trying to get everything to a T1 rank. And I had a blast doing it. Even I wasn't playing with anybody. I'd be playing by myself, again, on the video game. And I would just be grinding out ranks. So, you know, I that's where this game is going to get me. It goes back to a traditional prestige. Heck yeah. And I don't want it to carry over anything from the beta. I want to start fresh. I want to start from day one and to build that thing up from the beginning. So that part, I mean, that's going to make or break it. If they nail that, if it really is how they're describing it, I'm hooked.
See, I had a feeling they weren't bringing any of the stats over. So I, especially too, was also just really screwed around with this beta. And I think that's also why I was having fun. I saw everyone was playing the Jackal, and like I played a little bit. I'm like, yeah, this gun's pretty good, but I didn't want to do that. I tried the shotguns, I tried the snipers, I tried the heavy machine guns. I was just experimenting with everything because it's like I don't care if my KDR gets botched. I don't care if I lose the game. Like whatever. I'm here to have fun.
Yeah.
And when I finally just let go and just didn't care, that's I think why I was like, I'm having fun with this game. I'm sucking, but I'm okay. This is fun.
Yeah.
Oh, but I also wanted to. I noticed with the kill streaks. I remember I forgot to bring this up. So I saw the UAV now takes like 6 kills, but now you have a personal ping, which like takes like 3 or 4 kills, and that is a personal UAV. I gotta say there wasn't a ton of kill streaks, and I didn't think any of them were too annoying. Even the helicopter, I had one game where definitely had hackers because literally the enemy team were level 1s and they were like 40-2. And they were just constantly throwing helicopters. But I actually was not that frustrated with the helicopters. So, like, I got to say, I liked the kill streaks. I did not think anything was so overpowering that I was like, this is awful. I spawn and I die from a rocket, spawn and die from a rocket. It felt manageable.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually, as like a very small change, I really liked that little personal UAV. Like, sure, I guess you had a more powerful version of it at the same kill streak before, but it made the UAV feel more worth it.
Yeah.
And I think it was interesting because I think you got a lot less of them because it was pretty much always standard that you pretty much always had a UAV and then you worked your way up to the higher kill streaks. Whereas now to actually have that level of it, like the personal one, it's not, I don't even know if it's not as good or if it doesn't last as long. But I don't know, like it's in a weird way, like it's as much as it was like the only kill streak I would ever get, it also felt like it was part of the reason that I always sucked so bad is that there was just always a UAV out. And I just didn't think that was the case in this game is it didn't feel like you constantly were seen by everybody on the map. So if I managed to run around and like just not shoot at nothing, not stealthy, obviously, but like you could actually sneak up on people a lot more.
Yeah, because you always had to have that perk of like ghosts or whatever, where you wouldn't be picked up on UAVs. Like that was always like a mandatory because there's constant UAVs going.
Yeah.
Yeah, which by the way, I know we're like 40 minutes into an episode about a beta, but that was another thing also that I was surprisingly really into. One, the gunsmith is way cleaned up.
Yep.
And it only does like basically positives, not really cons. So it's just so much cleaner to know if I add this item, this is the thing that's improving. And I don't have to constantly balance out what's the pitfall on it? It was much easier to track what it was doing. But the other thing that I really liked was the perk system. I like that it split the perks up into 3 different categories. So a red, blue, green. And you got an added bonus if you stuck to 3 in a category. So you can absolutely split it up, which it looks like what it's trying to do is discourage you from doing that. Because this is what would end up happening in a Call of Duty is everyone would just know these are the 3. You run with these 3 and that's it. So this is clearly them trying to incentivize being a certain type of player. Like if you want to be a recon style player, well, here you go. This is all the blue stuff. And if you pick all the blue stuff, we'll give you this as an added bonus on there to add on top of it. I actually really like that system. I think it's a very smart implementation on how to kind of evolve something that I think even when they've tried to involve in the past, it just never really worked. It always just went to, this was the meta, go here. I think this offers a little bit more variation on top of it. So again, those 2 things I thought were very clean. I was really happy with that.
Yeah, same. Another thing I wanted to bring up, I said this as a joke in the text group, but so we were talking a little bit about the skins. So right now there really isn't anything crazy. It's just you have some basic skins. If you bought the Vault Edition, you got some zombie like characters you can play as. I'm really curious how crazy these skins are going to get. Like I'm assuming if you're playing Warzone, those skins aren't going to carry over right away on day one. I'm assuming these are going to be fresh batch skins that you're going to have to buy and purchase. So the new thing in this one are meat shields. If you go up to someone, instead of doing a takedown, you can grab somebody. It opens a personal comm with that person. You pull out a pistol and you use them as a meat shield. I'm curious because I first made a joke about it. I was like, oh, people are going to be like doing Nicki Minaj because people are already going way inappropriate with these meat shields. I don't know if you've seen these videos of like people like taking people to the bedroom, to the shower. And it's just like, so I'm curious if they're going to go still crazy with skins with like real people, because stuff people are doing is already kind of messed up.
They're 100% going to go heavy on the skins because it's money. It's crazy money. It makes a ton. So these kind of collabs are massive for them. Keep in mind, Call of Duty and almost every game, I think especially in Blizzard Activision, they tell you at the very beginning, hey, we're recording every comms you have in this game. And they absolutely, and I've seen it especially in Overwatch, they will ban you for comms that you have in game. Like, they're listening to it and they will ban you for it. I'm sure they have AI that's probably looking for keywords and stuff like that, and they're pulling those. I think a lot of these people are going to get banned for doing stuff like that. So I think they're just probably that's going to be where they're going to strong arm people. But dude, there's no way they go back on these skins. That's so much money for Call of Duty.
No, for sure.
The videos are funny.
I have to say, well, I mean, mostly because sometimes just hearing people be like, just like the not so inappropriate ones even are just sometimes just hilarious conversations that you have between these like personal comms. But like overall, one of the things I was half expecting with it is like, I'm going to have this happen to me like every 5 seconds. So again, maybe it was just some of the way the game flow felt out. I wasn't getting snuck up on enough for it to happen, but I didn't feel like people were just like abusing the heck out of it. Like, cause
there were some where people were getting funny with it. Cause
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the fact that like, I thought every 5 seconds, like that's all people were going to try and do. And like, it was just going to be like a nuisance of gameplay, but I haven't found that. Like, I actually found it to be like, I took that for the most part. It was me that then they just dragged me into battle, and I was like, well, here we go.
there was a game I was playing, and clearly this guy was like, the only way I want to kill people is by taking them as meat shields. So he was hiding around corners and then would like jump scare you and grab you. It's actually kind of funny because he kept doing it, and like he'd always get killed right after. So it was clearly just a thing where he might have been actually trying to talk to people, but I tend to mute all comms because if I'm playing on my TV, I don't want my kids hearing that. So I tend to automatically mute that. So that might have been what he was just trying to do, was just try and talk to people. But it was actually kind of cracking me up just because like you go into a random room and then just like, ugh, and he'd get behind you and get you. And I was like, oh gosh, he got me again. So it was actually kind of funny that way.
Did you guys see this link that Javier in our chat just posted? That there is already a $350 weapon skin you can get in the game. You have to buy a replica gun, and then it gives you a code to get that skin in the game.
I mean, $350 makes it ridiculous, but like this actually came up in a conversation. We were talking video games at work the other day, and someone was talking about back when Call of Duty had the pre-order where you got the pair of night vision goggles.
Yeah,
and like they weren't great. They weren't professional level, but they were actually, from every account I've heard, like decent night vision goggles. And it was, like an the $100 version of the game. So, well, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you really love the Call of Duty games,
or 2009, where were you just finding night vision goggles? Like that felt like, well, that was my first time looking at night vision goggles and using them. So even if they were pretty crappy, like that was mind blowing that all of a sudden you could just get night vision goggles.
That's a pretty for buying a video game, no less. Yeah. So like, I think it's absurd, and I wouldn't pay $350 for a replica gun. I can see where people would be like, "This is kind of cool." Like isn't it
a zombie gun? Isn't it the what's that pistol?
No, it's not a pistol.
He said it was a gold light. He said it's for a gold lightning camo, or I think lightning. So I'm guessing it's at least like something related to that.
I thought it was zombies related when I saw it.
No, it's it's the Wonderoff DG2.
Okay, so a zombie gun.
It is a zombie gun, yes, but it's a rifle.
Okay.
I
think maybe it was last year because they've done this before. This isn't actually new. From my understanding, they're actually like a very nicely designed gun.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you really
It's
love
actually kind
Call
of
of
a cool
Duty
piece.
and you want to have a cool collector's item, $350. Again, I guess if you call it inflation from spending, $120 on the special order
Yeah, I mean,
pre-order back for the night
It's true.
vision goggles.
Hun-
Does
Yeah.
this one actually shoot lightning? Then it would be
No.
definitely worth. Even if it's a crappy lightning gun,
It
it's
specifically
still a
says
lightning.
not operational.
Shoot sparks.
It specifically says.
Yeah, it's actually just a
taser.
lighter. Here, let me light that cigarette for you. I got the candle.
I love it actually says that for people. No, you can't actually shoot lightning with this guy. Sorry,
Oh.
people. It's
I'm
50
out.
pounds. Yeah, it doesn't come with the game though. That kind of stinks.
Oh, that's kind of crazy. If it came with a game, it still would be expensive, but that's already like $80 built into it. So
Does not fire. Does not turn on. That's funny. All right, but yeah. So okay, well, this is what I'm curious. So you're saying that they're banning people for inappropriate talk, but it's kind of odd if they're adding these comm links to these body shields. Like, people are going to be inappropriate. But-
Yeah, I think there's always a mix there, right? Like I think in the last Call of Duty, but especially in Warzone, that was the first time they did proximity chat. And
oh yeah,
and again, it was very funny. Proximity chats existed in video games before, but Call of Duty's never done
Sea
it.
of Thieves.
Yeah, so to get proximity chat in Warzone, again, when it initially came out, there were a ton of hilarious ones because it's usually people playing some type of recording and then like driving around in a car around the map. So you just hear, Eiffel 65's blue and, a Jeep's driving by and everyone's like, what the heck was that? So there were plenty of funny moments like that. And I think Call of Duty, if you're Activision, you want those moments to happen. You don't want them to go too far because they're very shareable.
Yeah.
So
true.
Call of Duty, I think if you're Activision, you like these moments because they're immediately something that's on TikTok. They're immediately on Twitter and they're getting shared and that's good for them. So I think they probably want a version of that. They probably just don't want the one that goes too far, but they want them to be funny. They want them to be weird because that is just instantly shareable. So yes, I think there's probably a delicate dance there where we want those moments. We don't want those moments to go too far. So that's where I think they'll ban people for the inappropriate stuff.
See, and I think that's the day when I'll stop enjoying this game is when they start coming out with ridiculous skins. Because
Yeah,
I did
well-
not like that.
Dude,
I don't know if you're
You're going to talk about the first few weeks then.
Okay, I'm playing Call of Duty for the first few weeks.
I don't.
They probably already have Jack Black queued up as a character.
I know. I think if I'm kind of like, I don't know, if I'm easing into it, I think I'm going to feel a whole lot better about it. I think we came in at the end of Modern Warfare 3. So I think
Yeah.
we were just getting just all of it slammed on top of us without really being eased into it. I feel like if I'm going throughout the year and I'm being eased into it, I might feel a little bit better about it. It's the jarring, I just load up Modern Warfare 3 and, there's lasers and people turning into puddles or giant blunts. Like,
Yeah.
there were things that were just kind of like, what is happening right now? What am I even looking at right now? I think if I'm eased into it, I'm going to feel a lot better. At least I'm hopeful for that. So we'll see. We'll see how long I stick around with it.
See, I think I don't know. I think that's where, to your point, Aaron, I could see myself getting annoyed with it, but I think at the end of the day, I'll let it go because it's the boiling a frog thing, right? Like,
Yep.
You don't drop a frog into boiling water, you put it in cold water and turn the heat up. So it's like, I think if you play along with it as it goes, because even Overwatch has got some pretty ridiculous skins, but we've played that game so consistently that it's just you don't even think of it much anymore. And I feel like personally that's like a good example of that sort of slow integration versus just being thrown at it.
That's a good point. All right. Well, so wrapping up our final thoughts here, you kind of came up with an interesting question I have. How long do you think you guys will play this game? So I'll start off here. Like I said, with this beta, I actually did surprisingly have a lot of fun with it. I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan. It's really gone down to the wayside for me. I feel like it's just full of sweats and just it's not that fun anymore. If I have consistent friends to play with, I think I'll play this game for probably about 3 weeks. I'm more looking forward to the campaign. Obviously, we didn't touch the campaign of the zombies because that wasn't here. But from what I've seen on the campaign alone, I'm excited for the campaign. I definitely will be playing that a bit more. But as far as the multiplayer goes, I could see me playing this for consistently 3 weeks, maybe more.
So I, at least kind of going off of my Modern Warfare 3, like this is one of those weird like topics that we talk about, like, oh, this is a game, like even Dicey Dungeons we were talking about. It's like, this is a game I could pick up and, a month or 2 months apart from it and just play for a couple matches and I'd be happy. And I think that's what this will come down to, because as you know, like Andrew, I'll play with you sometimes, but I don't always play with the larger group that we used to play. I think this might be the last remaining 3 of us anyways.
Yeah.
But realistically, like, yeah, I could see myself firing this with really any group of friends at any time. But I think I'll play it probably not heavily, but more so when it comes out. And then after the first month, I'll probably just be like, I don't really know what to play. I'll throw in a couple matches of Call of Duty. And if I decide to play something after that, I will. If not, or I'll just play it till I'm done with it and put it down for another couple weeks or a month or so. And you're never going to like forget the controls, because it's standard video game controls overall, like from a first person shooter standpoint. So like, yeah, I think I'll play it for well over 3 weeks. I just don't know that I'll ever play it heavily as a top game for me.
See, the only thing I for the most part would agree with you, Keith. The only reason I wouldn't is because of how much space this game takes on my hard drive. And so, yeah, because that's how it is right now. I think I deleted it off mine because it just takes up so much space. And I'm like, I don't have that much hard drive space. So you're out of here, Call of Duty.
I don't know. It's so weird because I have to pretty frequently delete games on my hard drive, but I never struggled to delete one because I'm like, well, I can always just re-download it, or it kind of forces my hand. And then really the third option is cloud gaming. So many
cloud because that stupid HUD.
And that's fine. But if this one isn't, there's so many other games that I could just play on cloud, because especially like those smaller games to start with, they tend to just run better like on cloud, I feel like. So storage space doesn't bother me that much, I guess. But I get where you're coming from.
All right, so let's see. If this was like 4 years ago, I'm typically playing one game and one game only, and it's typically Call of Duty, and I'll play it all year until the next Call of Duty. Nowadays, I kind of like to play a few things at once. So like right now, I'm playing College Football 25. I'm playing X Defiant, and I'll throw in some Overwatch, and that's kind of my 3. So let's go ahead and add Black Ops 6 to it. I do want to play zombies. Very excited to play some zombies. It's classic round-based zombies, so I am excited to get back into that. So I'll play a little bit. I'll play a little bit of multiplayer. But then how long do I hold on to it? Well, let's see. In a few weeks, we get that new Ava game, which I'm really excited for on Game Pass, which looks like Civilization. It's...
Oh, no, not Ava.
Is that called Ava?
Aria.
Ara. Whatever it's called.
Ava was an animal game that came out like 2 weeks ago.
Creatures of Ava.
Right. Yeah. And that game looks great, so I might get hooked onto that. In a few months, we get Marvel Legends or Marvel Rivals, and that looks like a lot of fun. And everybody that's played that has said it's really great. And then I think early next year we get Hawk Ops or Delta. They dropped the Hawk Ops. It's Delta Force. We get a new Delta Force game, which will be a free-to-play Battlefield game, basically. And again, everybody that's played that, it's looked awesome. It's looked like a great game for free. So with those games all kind of floating around, how long will Black Ops kind of hook me? It's really going to be up to them. It's going to be up to them on how good this actually plays. One thing is going to hurt it. One thing is drastically going to hurt it, and that's always going to be skill-based matchmaking. I'm going to end up in sweaty lobbies. The better you get, the sweatier it gets, and then it just becomes less fun because you feel like you're playing in a ranked mode when you're not playing in a ranked mode anymore. So it's going to be really tough. I'm hopeful that this will be in my normal rotation. I will play this a few times a week pretty regularly throughout the year. That's my expectation. But it is totally in their court on how well they kind of maintain this game. But
It's so weird because maybe it's because I don't know, I still don't think it's ever going to start putting me into too high lobbies, but I genuinely think the skill based matchmaking is what's made me enjoy this game more, because I don't feel like I'm getting
it's why
thrown
it
in with you.
exists. It's 100% why it exists. It exists to make sure that guys that want to play it at a completely different tempo can go do that. And the thing is I just feel like it becomes less rewarding the better you start to get at the game. Where in old school Call of Duty, you just, if you got pounded by somebody, well, you just have to be better than them next time. And that was kind of how you were going to develop and grow. But
Yeah, good scrub.
But I get it. I understand that most games use a version of skill-based matching. That's just naturally where gaming is right now. So again, there's just a lot of options coming in just the next couple of months. So, you know what, Call of Duty's got to make sure it remains in my rotation, because I'm gonna have a rotation there. Is it going to be there? My guess is yes. It'll probably be a game I pick up once or twice a week just to kind of sit back and play.
All right. Well, I forgot to look up the. This is supposed to be launch October 28th, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I think
Or is that like early access date? October 25th. I think I said 26th.
Yeah.
That's close. But that's early access as well, I believe. So if you buy like the premium edition, you get it early. But either way, end of October is when you're looking for this. But yeah, I think that'll do it for us this week. I've been your Hardcore Gamer Sandra. You can find me on Xbox Live, Firebird2152. Add me. We could maybe play some Call of Duty for the 3 weeks that I'm there. Javier here in our chat already said he'll play with me, so there we go. Already got a group going. Yeah, check out our YouTube. You know, if you want to see these live recordings, you know, we're obviously trying to do a lot more with them. Yeah, check out our YouTube. We're just a few away from getting 100 subscribers, so try to get us there. But yeah, if you have any game suggestions, you can email us at gamepassgrabback@gmail.com or go to gamepassgrabback.com. You'll find the links to everything. But yeah, Aaron.
Yeah.
Tell everyone, what are these YouTube shorts you got?
Oh, gosh. If you can find me, it's actually really hard to find me. I go under the name of Screen Test, which was the name of our old podcast. I've been making YouTube shorts, just movie facts mostly. Mostly as fun movie facts. The ones that seem to do the biggest are ones about stunts going wrong. Surprise, surprise, my Nick Cage stats didn't go all that great.
It's a shame.
I might end up expanding it into more content as well. Right now, the shorts are just kind of fun to make because it's just kind of nice to like make just a quick bite-sized piece of content. So I've had a lot of fun with it, and I've been kind of building it up and getting a little bit better at it. So if you want to check me out there, good luck. I guess look up Screen Test when stunts go wrong or something like that, and you'll probably find the shorts there. But if you do want to follow me on there, it'd be a huge help. I'd love it.
I mean, you post all your stuff on your X or Twitter.
I've been some of it. Some of the ones I think are like better stuff, I'll toss it over to Twitter as well. I'm not going to call it X. I'm going to call it Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, you should really easily cross-post it. You know, the TikTok, Instagram.
So, all right, funny you say that. So TikTok went the opposite. You know, YouTube went one way, and then TikTok went the other. TikTok used to like short-form content. They don't anymore. They will not put your content out there unless it's over a minute. YouTube Shorts doesn't allow you to go over a minute. So if I make something for YouTube Shorts, it legitimately will not work for TikTok. I'd have to make a longer version for TikTok. Isn't that crazy?
That was weird.
So I was doing that. I was sending them stuff over to TikTok. Okay. And wouldn't work.
Sorry.
What a child.
I really did that by accident.
Shut up. That's 2 weeks in a row. You go, it was an accident. No, it is not.
It really was.
And it's always at the end of the episode. It was an accident. Shut up.
Okay. Go ahead, Keith. You can do your transition.
I don't really have anything. I just like the noise effects for Aaron. So
That's cool.
I got other ones.
no, we don't need no. All right, I spoke too soon. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm with
just
Aaron.
move on.
Time to say bye.
All right, everyone. We love you all. We'll see you next week.
Bye.